just got the new headphones, trying to make sure everything is calibrated right here, so it's not going to be too loud.
Which headphones?
The Shure 1540s. Yeah, I got a bit of story about those.
Go for it, if you're ready.
Sure. So, when we recorded the show a couple weeks ago, I was scheduled to take delivery of these headphones the next day. And they had been like a lightning sale on these Shure headphones where they were $150 off. So $350 versus a regular $500. And I jumped on that deal. And then my package gets delivered the next day. And it's the Shure 1840s, which are also excellent headphones. They're just the open back version of the 1540s. They're not nicer or more expensive. They're the same price, which I guess in context of the sale, they would have been a more expensive headphone for those few minutes that sale happened. Anyway, but because they're open back, they're not really going to work for my podcasting because everything I hear will get picked up by my microphone. So I send a message out to High Def Audio, which was the company selling through Amazon that I bought these from. I said, hey, you sent me the wrong headphones. Is there a way we could do a swap and you could get me the headphones I need? And they said, well, our warehouse was out of stock of the 1540s, so we upgraded you for free.
Yeah, thanks.
Right, yeah. You upgraded me to something that's the same value. So you actually just didn't send me what I ordered. Right. And anyway, they finished that message by saying if you don't want them, you can initiate a return through Amazon, and we'll just give you your money back once we get the headphones back. But the catch with that is, if I send the headphones back to them, I'm going to get a $350 refund, and then have to spend $500 now on the headphones I actually wanted because that sale is over.
Okay.
So I was not happy with that solution. And I sent him a message saying, this wasn't really an upgrade. It was just not going to work for what I need. And someone there must have done a little more looking into it and realized the difference because like, oh yeah, they didn't realize it was open back and that's not going to work. So give us a call and we'll help you straighten this out. Which I'm always
sounds like one support rep passing it on to someone else.
Right. And I'm always a little hesitant to jump like through or outside of Amazon's consumer and seller feedback program. Because if I make a phone call with them and they say, send it back to us and we'll give you $500, I don't have that in writing anymore and it's not through Amazon's channels. But I called them and they said, we can have the correct headphone drop shipped from Shure. And then you can send us back the wrong ones. And
so you don't have to send them back until you've got the right ones in your hand. Perfect solution.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's much more what I wanted. The issue then came is that I said, yeah, that's perfect. That'd be great. They asked for my contact information, like phone number and email, so they can let me know when all that's done. And I didn't hear anything for a few days, so I sent another message through Amazon saying, hey, I'm just checking on what the status of everything is. And I got a message back that just said, call me. So I called him. I called the same representative back and he said, remind me again what your problem is. like I don't remember you or your issue or what the solution was.
To be fair, he probably deals with a lot of people every day.
Sure.
With problems.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I guess. So we walked through the whole issue again, and he said, yeah, we can do that. I just need to make sure that Shure has something in stock, and then I'll send you a confirmation.
So you had to go through the whole thing again. You couldn't just prompt him, and then he looked up some call notes and then found what was going on. It was this as if he had no history of the first call happening.
Pretty much, and this was the same guy because I've asked for the same rep by name every time I answered or every time I've called the helpline. So yeah, that was a little odd that he like had no recollection of this conversation from a few days earlier.
Classic support desk, isn't it?
So I waited a few more days, and then
and then same thing happened again.
Right, because I never got I never got a confirmation still. So same thing. Sent a message, called him. This time he like remembered who I was after a quick like, this was the issue. He's like, oh, well, we left our conversation a little nebulous the last time we talked. I said I had to check if Shure had them in stock. I've done that now, and I can see they do, but I didn't want to go ahead and do it until I got your confirmation. But I didn't reach out and ask for it or anything.
Because you might have had completely different intentions from what you called about. Wow.
Right. Well, they did offer at the same time, in the second phone call, they did offer to give me like a slightly better discount on the headphones they sent me if I just wanted to keep those. So there was options provided, but my understanding was we had been pretty clear that anyway. So I said, yes, go ahead and send them to me. And he did that, and I didn't hear anything again. And then I sent a message this morning again, say, hey, have you gotten any confirmation or anything from Shure that the shipment's taking place? And he sent me a tracking number that said my headphones were going to be delivered today. And they were.
And here we are.
And here I am using the new headphones. It just took a couple weeks.
Yeah. Bit of a journey, a bit of an odyssey that you've been on to get these headphones. Was it worth it in the end?
Yes. I've done my initial test, which has been my test of any headphones or sound system since high school, is I play Centipede by Knife Party on them.
Oh, you've told me about that. Yep.
Yeah. And it sounds really good. So I haven't got a chance to work with them much yet because I just got them. But you sound good, and I'm excited to try out some singing in here and see how that all sounds. They're much more comfortable than my last headphones, which is a big plus. And at the moment, I have the 1540s and the 1840s, and if they continue forgetting about me at the same rate, I may never get a shipping label, so I might have two headphones for the price of one.
Wow, that would be a real win. That'd be a consolation prize for having to go through the whole support channel rigmarole.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be quite a plus. I don't know what to do with them necessarily. It's like, I guess I already thought about this. I was like, well, I guess I could sell them because they're $500 headphones, but how long would I have to hold on to them before I'm sure they forgot about me? I could wait a year and then say, okay, I'm going to sell them, and then get a message like, we're going to bill you because you haven't returned the headphones yet.
I actually had that dilemma once with it was like, when it wasn't 4G, when WiMAX rolled out, that it never really took off, but WiMAX rolled out, and I got a WiMAX modem from a company, and I used their service for 6 months and then cancelled it. And then I think a year went past, and I still had their modem, so I was like, I guess they don't want it back, so I sold it. And then, lo and behold, a few months later, they're like, so you know how you've got that WiMAX modem? Well, can you send it back to us now? And of course I didn't have it, and then they made me pay that few $100s it was that I owe them for the modem. It's very frustrating because I don't think I sold it for that amount, really, since WiMAX never took off and no one really wanted them.
Right.
So yeah, I'm not sure what the time frame's going to be.
I'll probably just hold on to them and enjoy them and use them for casual listening. And then if one day they ask for them back, then there's a free pair of headphones anyway, so it won't be a big deal.
One thing that's going for you is that good headphones are kind of timeless. The good audio quality now is probably going to be pretty decent audio quality, even 40 years. Right.
Yeah, these headphones, the 1840s and the 1540s, are 7-year-old headphones that are still considered some of the best. So, yeah, I'm sure they'll hold up just fine.
You could also sell them to fund the purchase of a set of AirPods Pro. Unless you've already gone and purchased them, that is.
I have not. I'm actually pretty set that I'm not going to be getting any.
Okay. All right. We'll save that for the topic, though, when it comes up, because it's not our first topic. Oh, wait, it is our first topic. Or kind of is our first topic.
Kind of, yeah.
I guess this could fit into the pre-show, but you sent me a tweet from your president. To Tim, the button on the iPhone was far better than the swipe. So, he's very candid, isn't he? I don't think.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think Australia's had quite as candid prime minister.
Your prime minister's been in the news recently, though.
I don't really follow Australian news. What's he been in there for?
You don't follow your... oh, man. I just saw this a few days ago. So I believe your prime minister said something about how he was going to be making climate change rallies illegal. Like, it wasn't quite that, but he came out very strongly against climate change rallies.
Wow, okay.
So...
yeah, I completely missed that.
I'm going to look it up while we talk.
You can't make rallies illegal, though. I wonder what
Here
it
it
has
is.
in mind.
Australia's Prime Minister pledges to outlaw climate boycotts, arguing they threaten the economy.
Oh, boycotts, okay.
Right.
So what's that about? Is that about consumers boycotting companies being illegal?
It says
that can't be
a
illegal.
new breed of radical activism that has an apocalyptic tone is going to harm the economy. He's going to outlaw it. Let's see. I'm trying to find the details.
Always buried in like paragraph 5 to make sure you've seen at least 3 ads before you get real information.
I know. Yeah, it's the Washington Post. I don't know. Anyway, you're in the news too.
Cool. It's a little bit more heavy-hitting news than which navigation method on the iPhone is the king, though.
So I guess it sounds like President Trump just got an iPhone upgrade. He's been using at least.
Do you think he's been using a Touch ID device up until now? I find that hard to believe. Or are there all sorts of? There's probably like a real process for phones to go through before like important people can use them, right? Some sort of vetting process on security and functionality and I don't know, MDM profiles. So he could have been using an iPhone 8.
He may have been on an Android phone and just came back to iPhone after a while and doesn't like the new design.
You could check that, I guess. Check some tweets from a month ago and see if it's Twitter from iPhone.
I think he actually has 2 phones because I remember an article maybe a year or 2 ago about how he's got like an official work phone and then a personal phone that he uses despite his like aides telling him not to be using it.
One where he hides emails.
Well, it's just like one that's not as secure, but he hasn't been. So I searched what phone does Trump use, and all I'm getting is articles about him tweeting about banning all Apple products from an iPhone.
I've scrolled back quite a few months, and he's always tweeting from an iPhone, according to Twitter.
Okay. I mean, you'd think that probably in most cases, the iPhones can be the more secure choice. That seems like what you'd expect the government to go with, but maybe they can't modify some of that as easily as they can an Android phone, so maybe there's a case for that as well.
Yeah. Maybe the NSA knows something about the iPhones that we don't.
Yeah. It's all just a show. There's actually just a big open back door on iPhones as well.
Imagine that. Is he right, though? Is the button on the phone better than the swipe?
I don't think so. I remember thinking strongly that Apple's UX for the 10 wasn't very good when it came out, and that there really should have been some kind of like press on the home bar to go home instead of a swipe up. But it didn't take more than a day using it to realize that they knew what they were doing.
They sure did. They've actually set a precedent because other manufacturers have started copying the UI navigation sort of methods.
Right, yeah. Android's default navigation now is almost identical.
I think I like Touch ID more than Face ID, but just the authentication method, but everything else about Face ID is better, like the navigation and not having to have a bezel.
Right. There's definitely cases where Touch ID is nicer. I think for the most part, I still prefer Face ID, especially for every situation that isn't unlocking the phone, like autofilling passwords or confirmations and things like that, where it's just so seamless that it authenticates, almost instantly. Mm-hmm. For all those situations, I definitely prefer it.
Unless you have those annoying authentication screens where one screen has the username and then you have to go to another screen to do the password. Do you have any idea as a developer why that is a thing?
I can't think of anything specific. I know Google's very guilty of that.
Everyone seems to be doing it though. Yeah, Google, Microsoft, seems to be all the rage. I
know all the products that my company works on. We have one page for everything for our sign-in process. So I don't know what prompts other companies to make things less accessible in that way.
There's got to be a reason though, otherwise they wouldn't be doing it. I just wonder what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it prevents like brute forcing somehow.
Yeah, it could be harder for the bots. There you go. Well, if any listeners have any idea, they could leave a comment on the new subreddit. So,
oh yeah,
David's created a subreddit for us. Reddit.com/r/the Apple Show. So the podcast about the Apple subreddit has its own subreddit.
Just as a place for people to go for feedback or just any thoughts at all.
Yeah, or to keep track of the show. Every new episode will be posted up there as it's available.
And I just realized this. We always plug our personal Twitters at the end of the show. The show also has a Twitter. And it's just at the R Apple Show. Or R Apple Show? No, I don't know.
I think it's R Apple Show.
I'm going to verify this. I think it is, though. Yeah, I think it's at R Apple Show. And you can reach out to us that way as well.
So if anyone has the truth on two-screen authentications, you could leave it as a comment on the show post on the r/the Apple Show subreddit.
So, and if you want to be in the show, you can send us a voice message through Anchor.
Yeah, we had a bit of a flurry of voice messages and then radio silence after that.
Yeah, I think it all came right after we were running that ad for Anchor voice messages, and then it's maybe just not as well known at this point, especially for anyone who doesn't use Anchor.
That's true, yeah.
So if you download the Anchor app, you can find our show on there and send us a voice message. As long as appropriate, we'll respond to it on the show.
But also send inappropriate ones. Doesn't mean we won't enjoy them.
We'll privately enjoy those.
Good morning.
Good morning.
There's been 2 major topics since we last spoke, and then a few minor topics, but I think the biggest one is AirPods Pro. Would you be in agreement, or would you say that Apple TV Plus is a bigger topic?
I think AirPods Pro is bigger just because it's completely new to us.
Maybe it depends on your interests or what industry you're in. But yeah, to us, I think AirPods Pro.
Yeah.
I mean, the last few shows have basically been the headphones podcast.
Well, you nailed the name at least.
Yeah. Yep. I can claim that one. Did we ever have bets on the price? I know we put bets down for AirPower. I don't remember doing
we
it.
Talked about the price.
Well, they're very expensive.
Right.
But that's to be expected because they're an Apple product with Pro after the name. In Australian dollars, we're talking 400. What's it in American?
It's $250.
$250.
That's a big difference.
From American to Australian.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not the best exchange rate. It changes drastically. I always put it at about 0.75, but sometimes in my life it's been like a 0.5 and sometimes it's been parity. So, $250 to $400. And I think my first concern, which I raised with you, is when you talk about the lifetime of AirPods, just judging by my current non-Pro AirPods, I think 2 years seems to be about like the usable life of them. So if I took $400 and averaged it out over 2 years, then we're talking what was it? $16 a month or something like that? 16, 17 a month?
Yeah, something like that.
Which is a pretty expensive subscription to be paying every month. That was my first hesitation about buying these. But you did have a solution for me.
Right. Yeah, these are the first AirPods that you can get Apple Care Plus on.
So say after 2 years, if I could, this is where the question lies, if I could actually just get them replaced for a new set of AirPods Pro, then that would take the monthly down to like a $10 per month, which isn't too bad. But I have seen some concerns about whether you could, after the 2 years, and if you'd bought Apple Care Plus, if you could just take them in, say the battery hadn't got that bad after 2 years, would Apple still replace them for you? Or would you just be stuck then at that point?
I mean, what are they going to do if you come in and say my AirPods only last 30 minutes now? Are they going to sit there and play music for 30 minutes to make sure you're telling the truth, or are they just going to hand you new ones? Because there's no way they have a battery testing tool they can hook up to those.
Are you sure? I wouldn't be surprised if something like that existed.
Oh, maybe, I guess.
Well, maybe not in the Apple stores, but certainly in engineering they've got battery testing tools like that.
Sure. Okay, so maybe they'll just stick them in a testing box and they'll tell you whether or not the battery's degraded enough for a replacement. I mean, what does Apple Care Plus cover on these? If it covers accidental damage, you just step on them and bring them in after 2 years.
That's an interesting idea. Don't delete that out of the show in case it comes back to bite us. In case that one support rep I visit has heard the show.
Yeah, I've done something similar in the past. I think it was my iPhone 5. I got a crack on the front glass, and it was, coming up on the 1 year I'd owned it. So with the iPhone 5 design, like those chamfered edges started to chip over time, and mine was showing some wear after a year. So when I cracked the screen, I then decided I'd bang the phone up a little more, so that when I brought it into the Apple store, they'd have to replace it instead of just replacing the front glass for me.
And it worked then, I take it?
Yeah, it did work.
Nice.
So I don't know if that's still going to work for you, but it definitely worked 7 years ago.
That wasn't what you did with your iPad third generation, was it? Because I know you've got a video on YouTube of you smashing that quite vigorously. No,
the iPad, that was the most frustrating thing for me. I think that point in my life, I was at some point in high school, I don't remember when that was, but I spent $800 on this iPad, and I had it in a case, and I tossed it onto my bed in a case, and it somehow cracked the screen. I have no idea how this happened to this day. I assume that it must have been something to do with the case, and the case hit the screen or the body in just the right way to cause a crack. But I got it in my head that I could replace the screen myself. And so I ordered a replacement digitizer from eBay and got to work with a hairdryer and a screwdriver trying to chip away all the adhesive. Mm-hmm. And then when it came time to remove the display, I hadn't done any research on how to do it ahead of time. And so I just pulled the ribbon cable off the motherboard, not realizing there was like a latch mechanism, and I broke the latch on the motherboard.
Yeah, those latches are not the strongest latches.
Right. And so at that point is basically broken, because I tried to put it back together, but it couldn't make a good connection there anymore because that latch was gone. And so at that point, I just decided to write off the iPad and acted like it was a perfectly good functional iPad and made a YouTube video of me smashing it up for views. It wasn't on YouTube for the longest time. I just had it on my Facebook page, but I did recently upload that.
Well, the funny thing is that a lot of people were angry about that generation of iPad, weren't they? Because the next generation came out less than a year later.
Right, like 6 months later. So it wasn't a good iPad in the first place. It was a bad first iPad to buy, but that was my first iPad.
Yeah, it was a bad one, wasn't it? It was heavy. It still had the 30-pin. Battery life was bad. It was slow.
what's really funny is I was still active regularly on that YouTube channel right before that iPad came out, and there's a video of me addressing rumors that the third generation iPad was going to be kind of a holdover update, and there's going to be a new one in 6 months. Because I don't remember there being rumors that there was going to be a Half-Life update, but apparently there was. And I completely dismissed them on my channel. I'm like, no one needs to worry about that. Apple doesn't ever do that. Don't worry about it. And then it came to bite me.
Sure did.
So I also very famously wrote off the iPad entirely when it was... famously is not the right word for my channel. I need to rephrase that.
I like famously.
I still think back to my very dismissive video of the iPad when it came out, and how unoriginal it was, and how it was going to flop, and Apple lost their way, and blah, blah, blah.
Lost their way, huh? Now look at us now. I can't remember how bullish I was on the iPad, but I bought the first one, and then I bought the third one, which was annoying, and then I think I bought the fourth one as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think I bought the first Air.
I had the first Air. That was the first really good iPad.
Yeah, although I love the first one, the very original iPad. That's amazing. I had a mini briefly, but that was without 4G or 3G, whatever it was at the time, so I found that annoying. I bought the first Pro, the small one, and then finally I've got the 11-inch Pro now. So I think I'm an original iPad user, I would say, and now it's my only computer. Anyway,
see, I had the second gen iPad through work. Work had given it to me, which silly. I was working for a medical office, and one of the doctors really wanted a way to keep patient records digitally. He was tired of all the paper records. And so he bought me an iPad and said, "Can you write me an iPad app to manage my patient records?"
Okay.
As a high school student who had no background or education in CS at that point.
Oh, okay.
So I had a Mac, so I got Xcode, and I played with storyboards a lot, and had like the skeleton of an app that it was functionally not there at all, but it looked like, this could maybe be what an app was. But still a huge mistake, because I had limited understanding of... I knew enough about patient confidentiality to work in a medical practice, but not to handle it digitally or anything like that.
What an industry to start in.
Yeah. Anyway, I got about as far as having that skeleton before I ended up leaving or something. So, which is good, because that was about as far as a non-programming understanding could get me without having to learn something.
I think we've all made that sort of mistake at one time or another. I certainly have.
I tried to learn by watching on the Apple University courses, like some Stanford courses on iOS development, because they tend to keep those updated every year. But without a background in software engineering in any way, you can't really just dive into like a junior level Stanford course.
No, I have watched some of those courses, and they are really good. But if you don't have the background, you are absolutely being thrown in the deep end.
Yeah. So that was my first experience with an iPad.
Okay. Have we talked enough about the AirPods? I don't think so.
Are you going to get AirPods?
I strongly believe that I will be getting AirPods, but right now I don't have like that compelling push to make me buy them. But I think maybe next time I'm scheduled to catch a plane somewhere or something like that, then I'll probably be given that push to go and spend the $400. Well, more than that, because I'll almost definitely be getting Apple Care on them as well.
Right.
I can't remember what that was, but maybe I don't know. What's Apple Care Plus on them? Is it 100?
That'd be crazy if it was that much. But let me look.
Could be 100 Australian, might be what I'm thinking, if it's like 60 or 70 American.
That all sounds like too much money for insurance on headphones, but $250 is pretty high for what these are anyway, so who knows. Let's see. $30 American for AppleCare Plus.
Oh, it's cheap as. I would highly recommend that then.
Yeah, it seems like a really good investment.
Considering how expensive these are and how, losable, breakable, throw in a cup of tea'able, especially if you've got toddlers in the house, tell you what.
Yeah, and then you can step on them in a couple years and get new ones.
Yeah, yep. Well worth it.
So I'm anxious to hear your review on how they actually fit in your ear compared to the standard AirPods.
Yes, well, a lot of people have trouble with the standard AirPods. I don't, except in one position and one ear. If I'm lying on my back, the right one will fall out. But apart from that, the standard AirPods fit me perfectly.
Huh. Okay.
But back in the wired days, back when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, I always had the standard wired earpods and the in-ear headphones by Apple. And what worries me is that the in-ear ones never really work. So they came with 3 sets of tips as well. But I was constantly pushing them back into my ear. They would never stay in there for long enough. They'd constantly work themselves out. I only use these for flights, really, so I could put up with that, a couple of times a year to have a pair of headphones that didn't work that well, but I'd already spent the money on them. So I never searched for anything better, really. The tips on the AirPods Pro don't look exactly the same, so that's reassuring.
They don't have that little plastic protrusion that a lot of in-ear headphones have that the rubber kind of wraps around. It's that little, I don't even know what to call it, a little plastic barrel that would go into your ear slightly. And so I think that might help a lot with fit.
Yeah, it's a lot shorter on the AirPods Pro, isn't it? It's more rubber and less plastic that's actually being inserted into your ear. So we'll see. And they also have the built-in, what do they call it now? How it checks the seal of your ear, which is pretty cool.
The ear tip fit test.
Ear tip fit test. Beautifully named. Ear tip fit test. So it'll play a sound, and then with the microphones listen for how that sound sounds, and then determine if the current ear tips fit your ear properly or not, and have created a seal, an appropriate seal.
Right.
I'm not aware of any other headphones or in-ear headphones that do this.
Yeah, this seems to be kind of a new thing that Apple's developed. I've heard kind of mixed reviews on them. It seems to be helpful for some people. Right. But I've seen some reviewers say that it says good on all 3 of them. So,
and it could well be.
Sure. So then it's just more up to your feel, I guess, whatever's more comfortable to you.
It reminds me of how the HomePod has the accelerometer, where it'll, when it senses it's been moved, it'll recalibrate based on its position in the room.
Right.
But I don't think I've ever noticed it sound one way and then sound another. It seems to be a bit of witchcraft that is completely transparent to the user, or to my ears at least.
And allegedly, the AirPods Pro do a little bit of that themselves with a microphone inside your ear to kind of dynamically adjust sound so it sounds the best as well.
Yeah, absolutely packed with technology. I guess the main thing is that they have noise cancellation, which we haven't mentioned yet.
Right.
But also a transparency mode, which is absolutely getting rave reviews from people who use it. So instead of noise cancelling, you squeeze the stem of the AirPod, and it kind of pipes in outside sound into your ears via the microphone and the speaker.
Yeah, I've heard that it's very, very natural, and you can almost forget you're wearing the headphones when transparency mode's on. And
for doing things like walking around a city, or just times when you don't need full noise cancellation, I can imagine myself using transparency mode basically all the time. I don't know. I just feel weird using noise cancellation, well, not really cancellation because I haven't really used that too much in the past, but having headphones that really isolate outside sounds, it does kind of feel weird walking around the world and kind of being stuck in your own head, I guess you'd call it.
Right. Yeah, I don't have much of a use case for noise cancellation, because the few times that I am actually listening to anything, I still should be aware of my surroundings, whether I'm at work and someone wants to ask me a question or walking outside. I really want to be able to hear what's going on around me. And then even laying in bed, the time where I think it'd be most nice to have, I can't drown out the world. I have kids in the house that, might wake up in the middle of the night or anything else. So
It's the perfect use case for them, isn't
it? Yeah. Someone's sick. That's okay. I don't hear it. So,
they also have a vent system. So this could be really good to deal with that pressure that we've talked on and off about in the last few shows, where the noise cancelling headphones tend to create this build up of pressure. And I really can't stand it. And it niggles at you as well, hey? So it would be cool to see how far this vent system goes to stop that sort of pressure build up. But I do wonder if the vent system is because they're in-ear headphones and there's pressure created from that, or if it's to do with the actual noise cancellation part of the headphones.
I've actually done a little bit of looking into this as a result of experiencing it myself. And I think the vent system will solve a pressure issue that all in-ear headphones have, in that when you press them into your ear and you make that seal, you're going to increase the pressure a little bit in your ear. And that vent system should solve that. But the pressure we feel with active noise cancellation apparently is something that a handful of people are sensitive to, and it's because of the ultra low frequencies that active noise cancellation puts out. And if you have certain types of hairs in your ear, you can be sensitive to those. But apparently that sensitivity can be worn down over time. If you use active noise cancellation enough, you'll start to be immune to it.
That doesn't sound good, worn down. So what is it, destroying those little hairs? The ones that sense the low frequencies?
That's almost how it read to me. I mean, that's how sound works for anything. If you spend too long listening to any specific frequency, your ability to hear that frequency will be diminished a lot. So maybe that's what's happening. It might just be more of a little bit of a mental thing too. Once you get used to it and more comfortable with it, it's not as big of a deal.
And you can just turn it off completely on these, so you're not stuck with noise cancellation or transparency mode. You can just have, I don't know what you'd call it, open air mode. Well, not really open air because they're in your ear, but off mode.
Regular AirPod mode.
Regular AirPod mode. But undoubtedly the sound's going to be better than the standard AirPods, because the drivers, I think you call them, are going to be closer to your ear, and more outside sound's just going to be blocked naturally by having something shoved in your ear. Right.
Yeah, but I think for my use case, the standard AirPods are probably going to be the way to go, so I'm not going to be upgrading.
The control system has been, I would say, improved, because I've never been a huge fan of the double tap. It seems to be like an 80% success rate I have with it, even after years and years of using it.
Right.
Instead, now you've got to squeeze the stem, as I mentioned before, and it gives you not a haptic feedback, but an audio feedback, which apparently is convincing enough that you have actually squeezed a button on the stem. And it also kind of mimics the inline controls on wired headphones, so it's very natural and easy to pick up.
Right. And I think maybe the concept of tapping on a headphone that has like a seal around your ear would probably be more uncomfortable than tapping on the standard AirPod as well.
Yeah. It would be a terrible idea.
Right. So I think this is definitely a needed innovation on their part.
But you do then... You do have customization as well on what the squeezes do, I believe. So you could put on the Yo Siri again with the squeeze.
Right.
Increased water resistance, IPX4, should be pretty good. Although my current AirPods have taken a swim in the sink and didn't suffer too badly.
Man, you tend to throw all your devices in water, don't you?
Yeah, tell me about it. They are all wireless charging capable.
Mm-hmm.
So, interestingly, if you were thinking of getting regular AirPods and a wireless charging case, you may as well just get AirPods Pro in that case because it's not that big a price increase, really.
Right.
A little bit more battery life than regular AirPods, and yet a smaller stem.
Right. Well, they'll last less time than regular AirPods if you have any noise cancellation turned on.
Right. I think that just about covers it. What do you think of the design, the bell sprout looking things?
They're a little weird on their own, but I think they look much better in ear than the old AirPods did. Mm-hmm. So I think it's definitely in the right direction.
And the case looks a little weird as well, but it's probably just because I'm comparing it to the current case. And in a year or so, you won't really care.
The actual footprint of the case is not that much larger. It's just kind of landscape instead of vertical.
Exactly. So yeah, I think I might be catching a flight in early December maybe, so maybe I'll have some to give a full report on in a couple of weeks. We'll see.
Just call it an early Christmas gift.
To myself, yep.
Uh-huh.
We'll do that. Sounds good to me.
All right.
The next hot topic in the last few weeks is that Apple TV Plus is more or less launched. There was something out last show, wasn't there? Was there?
I don't think it had quite come out yet last show.
Okay. Well, it's certainly come out now. And there's at least 3 episodes of a few shows to watch.
Yeah, I've definitely put more time than I probably would have into watching all these so that I could have an opinion on at least the main ones for the show. But it wasn't a chore. All the shows are very enjoyable for me.
What have you watched so far?
So I've seen the first 3 episodes of The Morning Show. I've seen the first 3 episodes of C, and I've seen the first episode of For All Mankind.
Are you going to do a David Reviews segment for us?
I could do a little bit of one, I guess. I guess I'll start with the highlight. I think The Morning Show has been the one I've enjoyed the most. It's definitely more up my alley than the other 2 shows have been. And I was really surprised by all of them, considering how they were pretty panned by critics in the weeks leading up to Apple TV Plus's release. And that seems to be the consensus for most watchers. If you look at their Rotten Tomatoes score, the critics' reviews are all pretty poor, but the actual, I don't know what they're called, regular person reviews have those shows all rated much higher.
User reviews?
I guess. User reviews. So yeah, I really enjoyed The Morning Show so far. That's the show I'm most excited to see the next episodes of. C was also really good in my mind. I would like to say that I called the twist for that show the moment it was premiered.
Mm-hmm. You sure did.
In our very first show, I said that there would be.
Wait! Spoilers.
Sure. If you listen to our podcast, then I've already spoiled it.
Okay, good call. But be warned, anyone who is spoiler conscious.
Sure. There's a twist that I predicted. I think everyone in the world predicted it because it's a very obvious twist. And then For All Mankind.
Are you going to say it then? Are you going to say it?
Oh, do you want me to say it now?
I don't know. Up to you.
The very first episode of the show, some kids are born with the ability to see in a world that is blind, which I totally nailed.
Full credit to you, sir.
And then a surface level review of For All Mankind. I've only seen 1 episode. I thought it was good, but it wasn't good enough that I continued to watch the other 2 yet. Like I kind of watched the first 3 episodes of the other 2 in one sitting. So I guess that maybe says it wasn't as appealing to me. But it does seem interesting. Interesting enough, I'll continue to watch it.
So I'll do in reverse order. For All Mankind, I've only watched one episode of that, and I'm willing to give it more episodes. It was good. It wasn't amazing in the first episode, but it is directed by Ronald Moore from Battlestar Galactica. So I have high hopes and high expectations, probably, for it. C, I've also watched an episode and a half, and also very good, but didn't hook me like the morning show, which has its claws into me and is not letting go. is very entertaining.
Yeah, it is.
And Yasmin's fully into it as well, so that's hooked us both.
I know you had a note on this. I don't see it anymore, but man, there was a lot of worries going into the launch of TV Plus that Apple was going to be really stepping on everyone's creativity trying to make their shows family friendly, and that is not the case at all.
Wherever that rumor came from, had no idea. Are you thinking of one particular scene in C?
Yeah, there's a few scenes in the first few episodes of C that are suggestive at the least. All the shows have had quite a bit of strong language, naturally, but it's not something I'd sit down and watch the kids with. So
certainly not. And I don't think Apple wants you to either, because I've got this complaint about the TV app that every time I want to watch a show, it asks me, am I over 15 or not? It's very frustrating.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, Apple surely knows that I'm not under 15 because, well, I'm like the admin of like a family account, and I don't know how many. I'm sure my Apple ID has my age in there somewhere. How else would you tell? The fact that I have a credit card on my account. I'm not a child in a family account. Yeah, they surely know that I'm over 15, and yet they make sure to ask every time I want to start a new episode or anything.
I wonder if that is something to do with like a regional requirement or law, because I have not gotten that prompt once.
Not even once? Okay.
Nope.
Yeah, maybe it is regional.
Maybe you just really don't have your age put in your account and you need to do that.
I'm sure it's there. I'm very sure it's there. I'd also be surprised if it checked it, though, because the TV app's not the greatest thing in the world.
Right.
The other thing that's regional is the name of the morning show. Now, this had me confused for quite a few weeks because everywhere I see it mentioned online, it's called The Morning Show, Twitter, on Reddit. And yet when I went into the TV app, it was called Morning Wars. So I started off just assuming that at some point in its life, it had been called The Morning Show and then it had been changed to Morning Wars.
Right.
But then eventually I discovered it's just called Morning Wars in Australia. I guess there was another show called The Morning Show.
Yeah, you guys have like a real morning news program called The Morning Show, apparently.
But you guys don't? Like, surely that exists somewhere in North America.
Maybe like some small town or something has it.
No one large enough to fight the copyright battle, though? The trademark battle?
I mean, when I think of like a national morning news show we have over here, Good Morning America is the main one. It seems to be what the morning show is kind of modeled after. So yeah, but not, as far as something called The Morning Show, I'm not familiar with one.
Okay. Not much of a morning news watcher myself, but I mean, there must be a reason it's called Morning Wars, because it's a terrible name compared to The Morning Show.
Yeah, well, if I Google The Morning Show now, all I see is stuff about the Apple TV Plus show. So
right. Well, my other complaint about the TV app, I know you've got one as well, but I think probably my main one actually, compared as well as the age prompt that I often get, is that it forgets where I'm up to in TV shows, which is annoying. It seems like once the show's out of memory, as in once it's backgrounded, then flushed from memory, then go back into it, and it starts from scratch. And just quickly before you jump onto your complaint, is that the skip intro buttons, that come up. Firstly, it doesn't seem to be on every show, and secondly, it doesn't skip the previously on section. It only skips the intro credits. So surely someone at Apple knows that people are going to be watching these back to back, and there's usually no need to watch the previously on kind of pre-credits intro that most shows have these days.
Man, that's kind of a complaint in of itself. Apple's credit and title sequence for their shows is extremely long for all of them.
Which part are you talking about? Just the whole title sequence?
Yeah, it's like it lists every single person involved with the show before the show starts, and I think maybe the morning show is the most guilty of that. Because I know C's is also pretty long, but it at least has a little bit more to do with the show. The morning show's title sequence is just bouncing balls, so a little weird.
I think I've skipped it every time it's come up, so I don't even know what it is or how long it is.
Oh.
I just know it takes lots of presses of the skip button, because I don't think the morning show is one of the ones with the skip intro button.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot like you'd expect a post-show credit to be, where it's like listing everyone. So I guess maybe they're taking advantage of the fact that they're planning on having a skip credit button, so they're not worried about the length, but it's a little odd. So, but my bigger complaint with the TV Plus app as a whole is it's hard to find the TV Plus content. It's all mixed in with everything else in my Apple TV app. It's hard to tell what is an Apple TV Plus show and what is left over from my Hulu or the channels or anything else. And I wonder if that's almost deliberate to so that you don't realize how sparse their library is because it's mixed in with everything else.
Yeah, when you actually find like an Apple TV catalog section, there's not much in it, hey?
Right. Yeah, and I'd found that shortcut that I sent you that launches the TV app right into a TV Plus catalog, and there's not a lot there. But they do have, and I mentioned earlier that at least the shows we watched aren't family friendly. They do have some very kid-focused shows on there. They have The Helpsters, which is looks like a Sesame Street show. I know my kids have watched that. I didn't sit them down and ask for their opinion on it afterwards, but they did watch it. And there seems to be a show called Ghost Rider that is focused more towards children as well.
Okay, yeah, I saw that. I didn't realize it was focused on children.
I'm guessing that from the fact that it looks like the main actors are children, and then the rating was lower than the other ones. Okay. So sounded a little interesting, but not something I've been able to get around to watching yet. I've also heard Dickinson is really good, but I haven't got to see that yet either.
No, me either.
So, and I will not be watching Oprah's Book Club.
No? Not even giving it a shot?
No. I can't imagine that I'll be interested in whatever book they're reading or talking about it.
There's one aspect to TV Plus that not many people are talking about, and that is that it does actually cost money.
Right.
A lot of people, I'd say most like Apple review team or Apple review people, Apple bloggers, people who write about Apple have typically already bought like a new iPhone or something in the last year, so they just got Apple TV Plus for free. But for us lowly, well, not for you, but for me, I haven't actually bought an Apple device recently. So they want, after a 1 week trial, 1 week, which is already pretty stingy, they want $8 Australian a month to continue on TV Plus, which is a lot of money for not much at the moment. Surely, well, it's going to improve. Fair. We know it's going to improve. Yeah. $8 a month. I mean, that's only a few dollars less than Netflix in Australian dollars. Yeah,
that's an angle I haven't even thought about because it's so many people are getting it for free.
Right. Everyone who writes about it basically is getting it for free and isn't complaining too much about the cost. But it is not competitive if you are paying for it.
And that's mostly just because of the size of the catalog.
Yeah.
I mean, Apple's, I think, priced it as competitively as feasibly possible for a streaming video service, but it's just theirs is very sparse.
Yeah.
Did you see the trailer for The Banker?
No, I've never even heard of that.
Okay, so this is another kind of thing about TV Plus. Is that Apple's making movies as well for it, and The Banker seems to be one of the earlier ones that they're going to be releasing. It's a movie with Samuel L. Jackson, and it's about like segregation in America, and how this black man buys a bank using a white man as like a cover for doing it, and then he's like selling homes in white only neighborhoods to other black people, and it's apparently based on a true story, and it's got Samuel L. Jackson in it. So, and the trailer looked really good.
It does sound good. Any word on the release date?
It seems to be January next year.
Okay,
and it's releasing on Apple TV Plus and in theaters.
And in theaters. Like a worldwide theater release, or just select cinemas?
I'm not sure. I bet it's select. My understanding is that in order to be in the running for certain awards, you have to have premiered in theaters. So I bet they're doing the minimum to qualify for some of those awards.
Okay.
But yeah, the trailer looks really good. And my understanding is there's some other movies they're working on as well. Again, maybe it's The Servant is the M. Night Shyamalan series that also looks really good. It's coming out later this month.
Okay. And there's currently a documentary about elephants on the service as well.
Right.
Actually, I don't even know if that's a series, but I mean documentaries about elephants, it's probably just like a 2-hour thing.
Right. Yeah, that didn't catch my attention enough to even click into it, but so anyway, it does seem like they're putting a lot of work into making some really quality content to fill out their library, but it's gonna be a hard year for people who haven't bought an Apple product. Right.
Yeah. Yet another subscription service.
So you say that the Morning Wars has hooked you. Has it hooked you enough to pay $8 a month?
No, but I'll find other ways to watch it, if you know what I mean. I have checked, and all the shows have been 100% pirated, and so
really?
Yeah, nothing that Apple is doing is really preventing these shows from being shared in other ways.
I mean, there's nothing you can do. People can just record their screens at the very least, so...
I think there are protections built into screen recordings on iOS.
Well, I mean, like via a video capture card, like an HDMI pass-through kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yep.
So there's always ways around it.
So no, currently it's not worth me paying $8 a month for, but I would like to continue watching. Read into that what you will. Well, we've already got an hour, so we should probably keep the next few topics reasonably short. There's probably not a whole lot to say about them, but have you run into the iOS 13.2? I'm sure you have. The way it just like, as soon as something's off the screen, it's like as if it never existed, like in memory, I'm talking about. It's very aggressive about removing things from memory.
Yeah, this has been super noticeable for me. In a lot of cases, it hasn't been too big of a deal because an app can kind of bounce back to where it was pretty quickly. Most noticeably for me is like the YouTube app, where if I was watching a video and I jump to check an email or something else, I come back and the video I was watching is gone, and I'm back on the YouTube main page. And
very frustrating.
Yeah, it's been bad, and I think it's been longer than 13.2. I've been noticing this for a while, but voices have definitely been starting to pipe up since 13.2.
It was bad since like 13.0, but I think it's extra bad in 13.2.
Yeah. So I'm ready for this update.
I've had like 2 tabs open in Mobile Safari on the iPad, and just switching from one tab to the next reloads the one that you're jumping into. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been house hunting recently, so I've definitely noticed that with having 12 tabs open.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't even take 12, though.
Yeah.
You so much as blink at the screen or think about something else, and it's just like, you weren't using that anymore, I guess. But the actual article that was posted on the Apple subreddit is that iOS 13.3 fixes the problem. So First public beta is out today as we're recording. The dev beta came out yesterday or the day before. So I'm expecting it maybe in a month or so we'll have this annoying bug solved.
Yeah, and actually the top comment on this article on Mac Rumors says, I hope they release a 13.2.1 to address this issue specifically, so we have to wait a month for 13.3 to be released and fix this bug. I don't know if Apple deems this as a urgent enough issue, but it really hurts the whole experience of iOS, so I kind of on board with that. Hope we see something like that in a week or something. Yeah,
I'm not sure if it's that high of a priority for them. I mean, the whole 13 release from day 0 has been just like a dumpster fire. If it's not one thing, then it's another. I'm sure once this is fixed, then we'll all jump on the next bug to complain about as well, because there are plenty of others.
I've jumped off the betas at this point, so I'm not even going to get the benefit of having it a month early.
Oh, yeah, me too. I was just thinking the other day that betas being released has never really made like a news cycle after the 0.0. Like, say when iOS 12 came out, or when the iOS 12.0 betas were being released, there was typically always news and posts and things about, beta 4 is here, beta 5 is here, blah, blah, blah. But then once 12.0 GM came out, you didn't really get posts like, iOS 12.1 public beta is here. That never really... Right. Was important enough to come into the hive mind consciousness. But with 13, people have been all about betas even up until this 0.3, which I think just speaks to the software quality and the number of bugs that people are still having. Still keen to jump on a beta just to get that one thing fixed that's really bugging them.
And to think that the current state of iOS 13 is after Apple decided to wait a year to fix bugs in performance.
Exactly.
I can't imagine what it looked like a year ago when they were trying to release all of this.
Do you think a huge chunk of the development team has been taken off to work on Mac OS on ARM or something crazy like that? Like the number of developers working on it has changed dramatically. That these that the rate of enhancement slowed down and that bugs are not being addressed so quickly. Are they distracted with something else? Maybe the AR glasses.
I think that's actually a really good prediction. If all these rumors are true, and the fact that there's so much in 13 that alludes to the existence of AR glasses, and more rumors saying that we're going to be seeing them within the next year, I think a project like that could definitely pull a lot of probably their best devs off of iOS and focusing on this new product. It wouldn't be the first time Apple's done something like this at all. So I think that's a very real possibility.
It's been happening since the Macintosh, hasn't it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're not one to hire out for new positions. They like to rearrange things, and to the chagrin of chagrin is probably not the right word, to the detriment of other products.
So maybe the next big thing is right around the corner.
I sure hope so. They need another big thing.
They need it? You think so?
I need it. I need something to spend my money on.
You need it. Okay.
I need something to be excited about and think, oh man, Samsung's folding phone is not nearly as impressive as my glasses.
I'm really waiting on a VR future. I'm really excited about it. What was that movie? What's it called? It came out maybe a year ago. The people live in the VR world.
Oh, Ready Player One?
Ready Player One, yeah. I'm waiting for that future. I hope Apple's working on a VR headset like that, or experience like that.
My understanding is it's more of an augmented reality experience.
Yeah, I think that's where they see the future. But I still want that VR future as well. Yeah,
man, what if we do just skip entirely over foldables? Like, before they get a chance to take off, everyone starts putting phones in glasses instead. I could see that being a more long-term future than folding screens.
It's got to be a huge leap somewhere for that to happen, though.
Yeah, well, hopefully Apple kicks that off next year and they're able to pull that off.
All right. I'm not going to hold my breath for next year.
I think I will.
Okay. 2020 is a magic number, though. 2020 really sounds like the future, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And you can't have a better time to release a glasses product than 2020. So they kind of have to.
I didn't even think of that. Perfect. What does that mean again, 2020?
So, yeah, the first number, it means you have average vision. So if you have something different than 2020, like your vision's 2030, that means something that's 20 feet away looks as blurry to you as something that's 30 feet away for someone with average vision.
Okay.
So
it's kind of a vague system, but that's what we've got.
I remember 5 or 6 years ago when all the talk was that Apple's self-driving car was going to be coming out in 2020. And thinking that sounded like forever away. And now here we are. And there's definitely not going to be a self-driving car.
Nope. Well, there's certainly been no rumors about it recently.
Right. Yeah, I think that Project Titan has more or less died off. Maybe they're working on some kind of car stuff, but I can't imagine they're building their own car. I think if they were, Johnny would have stayed. I think Johnny would have wanted to be involved in that more.
I can imagine that. Might elicit some interest from him. Maybe if we had some better transportation, this is going to be a terrible attempt at a segue, then there wouldn't be a housing crisis in California.
Oh boy.
God, what was that? So Apple has committed $2.5 billion to combat a housing crisis in California. And I did hesitate putting this in the show notes because I don't really have an opinion or anything about this topic, but it was quite high up on the subreddit, so I ended up sticking it in there. So TIL, that there is a housing crisis in California.
Yep.
Seems to be an expensive place to live, especially San Francisco.
Yeah, it's crazy what it takes, just from those numbers listed in the top comment, on what it takes to be qualified as a poor person in California.
Yeah. So what is it? $82,000 is a low income limit in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm. Right. For an individual, and then a family is at $117,000.
Yeah, $117,000 for a family of 4. I don't know if I could live off $117,000, you know. It's got to be tight.
Yeah. Man, that is I can't imagine. I mean, I guess wages are also equally inflated over there to some extent.
It's all relative.
But you still hear stuff like Google employees living out of their cars. So I definitely don't think it balances out in the end.
As in, you think the high income doesn't compensate for the higher cost of living?
Right. Yeah, okay. I don't think that it fully compensates for that. Yeah, I can't imagine trying to. As a matter of fact, we have some remote employees at our company who live over in the San Francisco area, and our compensation policy says that we will compensate any employee fairly based on where they're living.
Okay.
So these set of employees are making like way more than everyone else who's living in the middle of the country, like us. So,
oh wow.
I guess if you could figure out a way to like live for cheap there, you could make bank.
Yeah, you could really milk it. I'm kind of in the reverse scenario. I'm a remote worker in a company that's based in a city with a higher cost of living. And I just get the perks of having a slightly higher income than someone doing a comparable job here.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of opinions on this. I mean, good for Apple. I think I did see initially when this story broke a few days ago, like people were complaining that Apple wasn't doing enough, but I don't even seem to see any of that opinion at this point. So
maybe they need to build a spaceship in Kansas.
In Kansas. Yeah, we need something out here other than all the cows and corn.
Exactly. Put it next to the Foxconn factories.
In Kansas?
Oh, wait, no, they're not in Kansas. They're in, where are they?
Are you thinking of the Mac Pro factories in Texas?
No, the ones that Foxconn is promising to build, but hasn't really done anything with yet.
Oh, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, there we go, yeah.
Huh, I wasn't even aware of this.
Oh, you're just Googling it now? You didn't know that off the top of your head?
No, no, I had no idea.
Okay.
That's interesting.
I don't know. Is Wisconsin near Kansas?
It's more near Kansas than some states.
All right, let's change topic before my true ignorance of North America is revealed.
I bought my first car from Wisconsin, so...
Oh, I can't be that far away then.
Yeah, it was like a day drive, so...
Takes 3 days just to drive out of my state.
You can get across our country in 3 days.
Across North America?
Sure. It wouldn't be a fun trip. You probably wouldn't stop for anything, but...
Oh, you mean non-stop, like 24 hours?
You could make it from the East Coast to West Coast in 3 days, easily.
With sleep?
Sure. I'm Googling it right now. I'm getting Google directions.
There's no way you could do that.
Are you speaking from your vast knowledge of North American geography?
Yes. No, my knowledge comes from the fact that North America is basically as wide as Australia, and you're not doing Australia in 3 days unless it's non-stop.
All right, so it says a drive from California to New York, so not straight across the country, actually a little bit more of a diagonal, is a 43-hour drive.
43 hours, okay. And what are you doing, say 8 hours a day? That's still 5 days, over 5 days.
I mean, 8 hours a day sounds short to me. When we go visit my girlfriend's family, I make a 16-hour drive in one day.
Wow, you're insane. Even 10 hours a day is more than 4 days.
Okay. It does take more than 3 days then.
All right.
I will concede.
Thank you. I'm glad I won that debate. Final topic for the day is that Adobe Photoshop is now available for iPad. Pretty cool.
I clicked into the App Store, and it currently has 1.5 star rating on the App Store.
Well, I can see why, because I cannot get it to work. If I launch it, it says something like, there is no connection, and you can't sign in, and it has just been like that since it was announced 3 days ago. So that could could explain the 1 star.
Just to read the very first review I see on this page, it says, it's an incomplete version of Photoshop with far fewer features than Affinity Pro or Affinity Photo, which makes the awful subscription price even worse. Do not buy. Yeah, the fact that you have to subscribe to use this app is also a pretty big hang up for me.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people already subscribe to it. Like people who might be using this are already subscribed on the desktop, and then you just get this kind of alongside
it. Does that transfer over?
Yep. Okay.
Well, in that case, it might not be as egregious, because it looks like it's $13.50 a month subscription.
So, not cheap.
Yeah.
So it's probably not targeted at people who are like casual Photoshoppers on an iPad compared to things like Affinity might be slightly more casual, I guess you might say, than like a Adobe Creative Cloud user.
Potentially. Although it doesn't seem to necessarily be catered towards professionals either, because it seems to be missing a lot of key features that professionals are very upset about. So I don't know who this is for.
The director of product management actually left a comment in the Reddit thread, and they said, I think you'll be pleased with how quickly new features come to iPad, since it's built on the same code base, so we can add new features fairly quickly. So it seems to be that they've just kind of pushed this out the door because it was announced a little while ago. People have been expecting it, and they've just said, let's stop with features now and get this launched. And then once it's people using it and it's out the door, then we'll start adding the missing features. So, and they've done that with Lightroom, because Lightroom's improved drastically over the last few years that it's been on the App Store.
And I did hear also that they're planning on launching Illustrator next year.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's an audience for all that. It's outside my wheelhouse, but it's cool to see full featured apps coming to the iPad and justifying it even more as a full computer replacement device.
Absolutely. And it's actually half the size, Photoshop I'm talking about, half the size in megabytes of Facebook Messenger. Oh, no, the Facebook app, sorry.
That's insane.
Slightly bigger than Messenger. Yeah, it surely is. That was pointed out by user 421777130 in the thread.
Great username.
Yeah, it doesn't spell anything.
Maybe it's his phone number.
Give it a ring.
Yeah, hopefully Adobe's able to respond to all the feedback in a positive way. I think they just completely ran out of time on this app because it was initially announced alongside the iPad Pros last year, and they said it was coming this year. So it had already been over a year since announcement, and they had 1 month to go before they were outside of their launch window. So I think they just had to push out what they had, and hopefully do have a roadmap for getting it more feature complete.
Exactly. Interesting that it's built on the same code base too.
Yeah, I wonder what that exactly means, because I mean, obviously Photoshop's not written in Swift,
No.
but Objective-C is still the language to use for something this big. But even that, I'm not completely familiar with everything Objective-C can be used for. But maybe there's some cross-compiling going on as well. So.
Yep. A lot of complaints are about the monthly fee for it. You know, just the usual subscription fatigue and all that. But I think most of the people that are complaining about it aren't really the target market as well. I
mean, I remember a lot of negative feedback when Adobe went to the subscription model in the first place, whatever, 5 or 6 years ago. They switched over. Because I'm sure professionals probably moved on from this opinion by now, but you know, there's a lot of people who are still happy with whatever CS3 they were using at the time, and the fact that if they ever wanted a new feature, they couldn't just buy that and then use that for another 4 or 5 years. They had to continually pay a monthly subscription. Can be off-putting.
Yeah, the biggest concern from pros I've seen voiced is that like Lightroom Classic seems to be on the way out, and Lightroom CC is the replacement, and Lightroom CC is just based 100% on a cloud library. You know, a true pro who might do like 20 gigabytes of raw files at an event is probably going to have trouble like streaming those down from the cloud if they, you know, put them on the iPad and then jump on their desktop. It's not going to be that great an experience.
Right.
Yeah, so I see that sort of thing, but I think when you're talking about an iPad, it just makes sense to have cloud-based apps instead of local storage-based apps.
Yeah, even if you max out an iPad, 1 terabyte will disappear like that for real professionals that are working with raw photos or 4K video. So
yeah, easy.
Yeah, cloud, or I mean, the ability to work with external storage is definitely going to be important as well.
Yep.
So
that's all I've got on Photoshop. I'm looking forward to use it when it finally lets me sign in.
So do you pay for the subscription?
I pay for a Lightroom subscription, and my work has a Creative Cloud subscription, so I'm not sure what the final scenario will be for me, if I'm paying for it or not, but
I used to have a free Creative Cloud account through my university. I wonder, it's been a couple of years, but I wonder if I could still get access to that.
Worth a look.
I might try it.
All right, well, I'm James VDM on Reddit and on Twitter.
And I'm Jellywoot on Reddit and Twitter.
And don't forget to check out our new subreddit and give it a sub.
Yeah, looking forward to hearing everyone's feedback.
Speaking of large amounts of photos, I've got this annoying bug on my iPad at the moment where It's like a 256 gig iPad, and it says I've used like 60 odd gig. Yep. If I try and upload from an SD card like more than a couple of gigabytes of photos at once, it says I'm out of space. And yet if I come back to it like an hour later and try the same thing, then it'll have mysteriously found the space and let me do it. It's very annoying. It's like some sort of optimized storage feature. It's just doing a poor job of keeping of clearing space. But it's completely completely invisible to me as a user of where that space is, because there's no tool for iOS that'll actually show me where that like optimized space is being used.
Right. Yeah, probably something along the lines of like if you actually go into settings and look at the storage, there's storage that's being used, but it's marked as free space for optimization. But different parts of the OS aren't communicating properly, and so when you're trying to import files, it doesn't recognize that as free space. And
yeah, it's very frustrating. Sometimes things like that push me to go back to Mac OS.
Yeah.
But then other things on Mac OS remind me how much I like iOS. You win some, you lose some, I think.
I had a very pleasant experience with my iPad just today. I have 6 terabytes of external storage just kept in some drive enclosures that I had been using alongside my MacBook Pro when I had that. And it has all my old photos and videos and just everything that they wouldn't fit on a Mac. And I sold my MacBook Pro months ago, and just kind of those drives have been sitting and I forgot about them. And today I thought, well, what if I tried plugging my iPad into them? And it works just fine. Now I have all my old videos back and it's really nice.
Nice. Now your iPad has 6 terabytes of storage.
That's right, yeah. Kind of slow storage reading off of optical drive, but it is over USB 3 at least, so hard disk drive.
Okay.
So yeah, it was nice to see those files again and know that I still have access to them without having to like bring the drive enclosures into my little sound booth to plug into my iMac to read them.
Yeah, cool. I do find both the external drive protocols and the SMB protocols just to be terrible in the Files app. Like it'll hang all the time when like I think it's trying to do an operation, but there's actually no indicator that's doing an operation, and it just becomes unresponsive, and it's really bad. That's definitely my big complaint as well, because I tried copying a handful of videos off those drives onto like my iPad itself, and I selected them all and then hit move, and then it's like, is it loading? What's happening? There's no indicator or anything. It was probably like a good 20 gigabytes of files, so it was enough that it'd take some time, and there was no indicator that it was working or if it frozen or anything else. So it seems to actually be making the copy when you click the move or copy button, like as if like, oh, let's get these files ready so we can just dump them wherever you say, which is completely illogical. It should wait until you hit the location and hit save or whatever to start making the copy, and then maybe give you a progress indicator.
Yeah, that's the big thing that's missing right now in my mind, is just, however you do it, put a progress indicator up so I know at least doing something.
Yeah.
Because right now it just appears to freeze. My parents
gave me an old 2TB time capsule yesterday, so I'm trying to find some clever way of using that with my iPad and SMB, but haven't really come up with anything yet. I mean, it's worth nothing, so it's not really worth selling.
Right.
Yeah, so if you've got any clever ideas,
just don't put anything too important on there, because I don't trust that old drive to hold up.
Yeah, it's one of the old flat ones. It's not even one of the tall ones, so it's probably going on a decade.
I mean, as long as it's not your only place for external storage, then...
Nah, I'm just looking for some fun hobby thing that I could do with it.
Huh. I've gotten to play around for the first time with iOS's family sharing in the context of having child accounts.
Okay, yep.
I've always done the family sharing with my girlfriend so that we can share purchases and subscriptions and stuff. But I think I mentioned recently that I was getting iPod Touches for all the kids for Christmas. And I've been setting those up a little early, but getting them ready. And I have them added as children on my account, and been trying to put like my names and their grandparents so they can FaceTime or message them, and some apps and stuff on there for them. And it's really nice what screen time in conjunction with parental controls on iOS. Mm-hmm. The fact that I can set a time frame where the iPod will just not work. So from bedtime until morning, they can't be playing on their iPods all night. It'll lock them out, except for like maybe FaceTime or something, which to be determined if that's a good idea to leave on. And then the purchase confirmations are really nice. I kind of have 2-factor purchase confirmations right now. I don't know if I could trust the kids with the App Store yet, but so they have to know their iCloud account passwords, which I've created each of them their own iCloud account, which I may or may not give to them. So if they purchase an app on the App Store, they have to know that. And then after that's put in, I get a notification on my iPhone saying, whichever child wants to download this app. And then I have to give them explicit permission to download it. And then the download will start on the device.
That's a stark contrast to the early and middle ages of the App Store, where kids could kind of do whatever they want and rack up thousands of dollars in bills.
Right, yeah. I have things like in-app purchases turned off entirely. Mm-hmm. I don't trust that at all. But yeah, I'm sure there'll be some finagling with settings once I get the kids set up and realize their competency levels with things. My 7-year-old is probably getting to the point where I could give him a little bit more freedom to download apps from the App Store, whereas my 4-year-old might not still. She can't really read, so it'd be hard for her to pick out apps. But yeah, playing around with that. But I've been really impressed with Apple's support for all that.
There are often posts about how resourceful kids are about getting around these parental restrictions. I would keep a close eye on them despite having this all set up.
Yeah. I mean, it all boils down to if they... first of all, I'm sure there's workarounds to the parental restrictions themselves, but also if they ever just figured out my 4-digit passcode for parental controls, they could just turn that all off. Yeah, I'm probably underestimating my kids as is. So
yeah, they're still pretty young though. Maybe once they're teenagers, it'll be more of a nightmare. I bet it will be. I
mean, I definitely remember working around stuff on like desktop computers when I was 100%. There. When I was their age, I knew the family computer better than my parents did already. So I feel like it's a little different now. With the kids growing up with iOS devices, tablets, and phones, and all that, there's a little bit less technical understanding that comes along with using them than I got from playing around with a desktop computer and getting into settings and stuff. That's just not available anymore. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll definitely be keeping an eye on them, though.
Good.
I guess I also have the ability at the router level to disable access to the internet, like at night or whatever. Not that what they're doing should really be on the internet. They have mostly games. I guess they have an educational game. They use the ABC mouse that would be on the internet, and man, they are really addicted to like the kids YouTube app.
Okay,
got like on the we have it on the iPad right now, and we have like a lockout on that. It's like if you complete like a few lessons on your ABC mouse, then you can watch some YouTube videos, someone playing Minecraft or whatever. They really get into that kind of stuff.
Man, my 2-year-old is just addicted to YouTube. I mean, he's not addicted. It's not like we let him watch it for hours a day or even half an hour a day, but he knows what YouTube is, and he will jump at the opportunity to watch it if he gets 10 minutes.
Does he watch the Ryan's World stuff?
He's 2, so we just choose something for him and then lock the iPad so he can't do anything else for the 10 minutes that it's playing.
I'm so impressed by this Ryan kid. He must be, I don't know, maybe 10 years old, and his parents have been filming him just playing with his toys and playing with him for years. And his YouTube channel of just him playing with toys got extremely popular. And now he's got his own show on like Nickelodeon, and half the toys I see in the kids department have his face on them now. And
wow, yeah, I just Googled him, and like the local department store has a category, Ryan's World.
Yeah. So hopefully his parents are responsible, but if so, man, he's set for life. If they're putting this into a good like interest-bearing account or something for him when he's older.
21 million subs.
Yeah, just YouTube alone. But then his TV show and branding, and that's, man, I wish I could do something like that for my kids. That has to be a flash in the pan, like one off. That's through one chance, and that kid got it. So,
yeah. I don't know. Maybe your kids are the next Marquez Brownlee.
My oldest he's already told me that when he grows up, he wants to be a YouTuber.
Yeah, I think that's the number one answer these days. When you ask a kid what they want to be when they grow up, it's not a fireman or a policeman or a doctor. It's a YouTuber. So
I think I'm excited to see what he does with the iPod as well, to have kind of his own camera at that point as well. He's got his 2DS has a really crappy VGA quality camera on it, and he loves to film himself just talking on there. So I'd love to see what kind of creative stuff he can come up with.
Maybe he can take over Tech Today.
Maybe he'll actually upload to it, yeah.